The lights in the room were bright, the crowd buzzing with excitement. Cameras flashed, microphones were pointed in every direction, and in the middle of it all stood Yaman, calm, confident, yet with that unmistakable intensity in his eyes. It was another international press event, the kind where every word he said would be analyzed, translated, and broadcast around the world. But no one, not even his translator, was ready for what was about to happen. As the moderator opened the floor for questions, a journalist from Italy raised her hand. Her question was direct, maybe even a little provocative. Can, after everything that has been said about your relationship with Demet Özdemir, do you still believe in love? The room went silent. Even the translator hesitated for a second before repeating the question in Turkish. The air thickened, everyone was waiting to see how Can would react. For a few moments, he didn't speak. He simply looked down, his jaw tightening as if he was trying to hold back something deeper, something unscripted. Then, with a deep breath, he looked up and said softly, "Translate this carefully." The translator nodded nervously, unsure of what was coming next. Can's voice broke the silence, slow, deliberate, every word carrying weight. "There are things," he said, "that don't need translation, because they are felt, not spoken." The translator froze. She looked at him, unsure whether to translate or stay quiet. The crowd leaned forward. Cameras zoomed in. You could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the room. Finally, Can continued, this time more firmly. Love doesn't vanish when two people take different paths. It stays, it transforms, it hurts, but it never lies. His translator blinked rapidly, visibly shaken. For a second, she forgot her job completely. The journalists started murmuring, some gasped. It was the kind of moment that would be replayed on every entertainment show in Europe. When she finally began to translate, her voice trembled. The audience listened in stunned silence. Can's eyes, however, stayed fixed ahead, distant, reflective, almost as if he was speaking to someone who wasn't in the room. It was no longer a press event, it was an unguarded confession in front of the entire world. And yet, this was just the beginning, because what he said next would leave everyone, including his translator, completely speechless. Within hours, clips of Can's words started spreading across the internet like wildfire. The video of the stunned translator, her eyes wide and her microphone shaking, became the moment everyone was talking about. It wasn't just another interview, it was a declaration, raw, emotional, and completely unexpected. Fans flooded social media, translating his words in dozens of languages, trying to decode every glance, every pause, every hidden meaning. Who was he really talking about, they asked. Was it Demet? In Rome, Milan, Madrid, Istanbul. The same question echoed. For those who had followed Can and Demet's story since Erkenci Kuss, this was more than nostalgia. It was reopening a door that everyone thought had been locked forever. The chemistry they once shared on screen had become legend, and now, with just a few emotional words, Can had reignited that fire. The translator, a professional with years of experience, later admitted in a backstage interview that she forgot how to breathe during that moment. He looked at me, she said, and it was as if time stopped. His words weren't just lines, they carried something very real. She revealed that she almost didn't translate the second half of his response, afraid it might be too personal, too revealing. But he nodded at me, she added. As if to say, let them know. Meanwhile, in Istanbul, Demet was filming a new project when the clip reached her phone. According to sources close to her, she watched it silently, several times. No comments, no reactions, just that deep stillness she's known for when something truly affects her. Her assistant said she later walked outside alone, away from the cameras, taking a few minutes to herself under the evening sky. Later that night, she posted a single message on her Instagram story, just one line, some truths don't need to be spoken twice. The timing wasn't lost on anyone. Fans were quick to connect the dots. Within minutes, hashtags like #CanYamanTranslatorMoment and #DemetResponse started trending worldwide. Journalists were calling it the most emotional interview of his career, while others suggested that the translator's stunned reaction proved how real Can's feelings still were. But the story was far from over. Because the next day, Can decided to break the silence again, this time, with something even more personal, something that would make the world realize that his words weren't just nostalgia, they were unfinished business. The next morning, the sun rose over a world still buzzing with Can Yaman's words. Every entertainment outlet had replayed the clip on loop, the question, the silence, the translator's frozen face, and that piercing line, "Love doesn't vanish when two people take different paths." It wasn't just a statement anymore, it had become a phenomenon. By the time Can woke up in his hotel room in Madrid, his phone was flooded with messages, from colleagues, fans, even people he hadn't spoken to in years. Some congratulated him for his honesty, others warned him that he had revealed too much. His manager, visibly nervous, asked him if he planned to make a clarification. But Can just smiled faintly and said, "No need. I said what needed to be said." Then, around noon, he opened Instagram and posted something that no one saw coming. A single photo. It wasn't a new project, a brand, or a behind-the-scenes moment. It was a simple picture of an empty chair beside a coffee cup, placed near a sea view. The caption read, "Some moments lose their meaning if you wait too long to share them." Fans immediately flooded the comments, "Is this about Demet? That's the same cafe they visited years ago." He still remembers. Within minutes, the post had millions of likes and thousands of shares. Journalists dissected every detail, the lighting, the cup, even the background reflections. But those who had truly followed Can knew, this wasn't for publicity. It was for someone who would understand without needing words. Back in Istanbul, Demet reportedly saw the post during a short break on set. One of her co-stars noticed her staring at her phone for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, with a faint smile, she locked the screen and whispered, "He never forgets." That afternoon, a Turkish magazine reached out to Can's translator for a comment about what had happened. She said, "I've worked with many actors, but I've never seen someone speak like that, not to the media, but to a memory. When he talked, it was as if he wasn't talking to us at all. He was speaking to her." The phrase, "he was speaking to her," became the new headline across Europe. The Spanish tabloids called it the confession that silenced a nation. Italian newspapers described it as the emotional earthquake of the year. And in Turkey, TV shows debated whether this was Can's indirect love letter to Demet. But while everyone else speculated, Can stayed quiet. No interviews, no clarifications, no denials. Just silence. The kind that speaks louder than 1,000 words. Yet what the world didn't know was that this silence wouldn't last long. Because a few days later, something happened at another event that would turn this story into an even bigger storm, and this time, his translator wouldn't just be speechless, she would be in tears. The second event took place in Barcelona, only 4 days after the viral interview. This time, the anticipation was electric. The hall was packed beyond capacity, with journalists, fans, and cameras from nearly every European network waiting to capture even a hint of another Can Yaman moment. The organizers hadn't expected such a turnout, but by now, everything Can touched turned into a headline. He entered wearing a black suit, simple yet elegant, his expression calm but guarded. The translator from the previous interview was there again, this time sitting a little closer to him, clearly nervous. She later admitted that her hands were trembling even before the event started. "It wasn't fear," she said afterward. "It was the feeling that something was about to happen again." The moderator greeted him warmly, asking about his current projects, his stay in Spain, and his upcoming plans in Italy. Can answered politely, measured, but his eyes often drifted, distant, introspective. Then, one reporter, clearly determined to get a reaction, asked the question that froze the room, "Can, do you think love is something you can ever really move on from? Especially when the whole world knows who you once loved?" The translator looked at him in panic, as if asking with her eyes, "Should I really translate that?" But Can nodded calmly. She did, word by word. The audience leaned in. The air was heavy. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he adjusted his microphone and looked straight into the cameras. His voice, when it came, was lower than usual, slower, almost like he was speaking to himself. "There's something people misunderstand about love," he began. "They think forgetting means healing. But sometimes, forgetting is just pretending you were never wounded." The translator hesitated again, her voice trembling as she repeated his words. You could hear a pin drop in the hall. Then Ken added, "When someone has touched your soul, there's no moving on. There's only learning to live with the echo of that person inside you." The translator's voice broke. She paused for a second, visibly emotional, then continued translating with a small tear rolling down her cheek. The audience burst into soft gasps, even the moderator couldn't hide her reaction. Ken didn't look away. He simply sat there, steady, open, vulnerable. And then, as if to end it all, he said the sentence that made everyone's breath stop, "If she's listening. I hope she knows I never stopped meaning every word I once said to her." The translator froze completely. Cameras clicked. Some audience members were crying. It wasn't a performance. It wasn't an interview. It was truth, laid bare in front of strangers, broadcast to millions. Within an hour, every major media outlet had the footage. Yaman confesses again, the headline screamed. Translator breaks down in tears. The emotional clip trended in over 15 countries, and fans began sharing side-by-side videos of Demet's old interviews, trying to match his words with her past reactions. And somewhere, miles away, Demet was watching again, silently, just like before. But this time, her eyes weren't still. They were full of something she had tried to hide for a long time, pain mixed with tenderness, a memory refusing to fade. That night, as the Barcelona clip exploded online, Istanbul was alive with whispers. Every major Turkish outlet had already picked up the story, and fans stayed up all night refreshing social media, waiting for any sign from Demet Özdemir. But her Instagram remained quiet. No new stories. No posts. No comments. Just silence, the same kind of silence Ken had once described. Around midnight, one of Demet's closest friends shared a cryptic message on Twitter, "Sometimes the heart answers even when the mouth doesn't." Fans immediately connected it to Demet. Within minutes, her name was trending again alongside Ken's. The world seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for her reaction this time. And then, early the next morning, she finally posted something. No words. No faces. Just a short black and white video clip of raindrops falling against a window, with a faint piano melody in the background. The caption read only, "Some echoes never fade." It was enough. The internet erupted. Italian, Spanish, Turkish, and even German media began running the headline, "Demet responds to Ken," with 4 words that broke millions of hearts. Her post gathered millions of views within hours, and even Ken's translator commented under it with a simple heart emoji, a subtle confirmation that the message had been seen by the man himself. Insiders later revealed that Ken had been in his hotel room when he saw the post. He didn't like it, didn't comment, but according to a friend, he stared at it for a long time before whispering, "She understood." The next day, paparazzi spotted him walking alone along the Barcelona waterfront, wearing sunglasses and a hood, headphones in his ears. When one journalist shouted, "Ken, did you see Demet's post?" he didn't respond. But just before stepping into his car, he turned around and said quietly, "Yes. That's all I needed." It was a rare admission, not through social media, not through PR statements, but straight from his own mouth. The translator from both viral interviews later said she cried when she heard it on TV. "He meant it," she said. "You can fake words, but you can't fake that tone." By now, this wasn't just celebrity gossip. It had turned into a modern love story unfolding in real time. 2 people who had once shared everything, now speaking to each other across borders, through screens, through fragments of emotion disguised as interviews and captions. TV shows dedicated full segments to reading between the lines of their words. Body language experts were invited to analyze their tone and eyes. One host even said, "It's as if Can and Demet are having a conversation the rest of us are just lucky to overhear." And perhaps the most moving reaction came from fans themselves. Under Demet's video, someone wrote, "He spoke with his heart, she replied with her soul." That comment alone was shared over 100,000 times. The story had become something bigger, a reflection of everyone who ever loved, lost, and still felt the echo of what once was. But fate wasn't done yet. Because just when the world thought the chapter was closed, one last meeting between Can and his translator, caught on camera, revealed that the story had one more twist. It was supposed to be a quiet event, a small charity gala in Rome, weeks after the Barcelona storm had finally begun to settle. No journalists were officially invited, no flashy interviews planned. Just a modest gathering, a cause Can had supported for years. But as fate would have it, the interpreter assigned that evening was the same translator who had stood beside him during the 2 viral interviews, the one whose reactions had captivated the world. When she saw his name on the guest list that morning, she reportedly froze. "I didn't know he'd be there," she later told an Italian magazine. "And when I realized it, my heart started racing. Because that man doesn't just speak, he transmits something that stays with you." The room that night was softly lit, filled with quiet conversations and music. Can arrived looking composed, smiling politely, greeting familiar faces. He looked calmer now, as if the storm inside him had settled, or at least learned to live in silence. But when he saw her, standing near the stage with her notes, he smiled, that same gentle smile that could disarm anyone. "So," he said, "we meet again." She laughed nervously, "Yes, and I hope this time you don't make me cry." As the event progressed, Can was invited to say a few words about the charity's work. Cameras began recording, discreetly, as always. He thanked the organizers, spoke about compassion, unity, and using one's platform for good. His tone was calm, measured, until, near the end, he paused. Something shifted in his expression. He looked down for a moment, then up again, his gaze steady and warm. "You know," he said, "people often ask me why I speak so openly, even when it makes others uncomfortable." The translator hesitated slightly, glancing at him, as if to check if this was part of the script. He nodded for her to continue translating. Then he added softly, "Because silence can protect you, but it can also imprison you." She felt her throat tighten. His words carried weight, not just for the audience, but for her, for the millions who had watched those past moments, and for one person somewhere far away who would undoubtedly hear them too. Then, he said something no one expected, "Sometimes, speaking isn't about being heard. It's about letting someone know that you still care, even if they're no longer listening." The translator's voice broke halfway through the sentence. She had to pause, take a deep breath, and continue, her eyes glistening. When she finished, the room erupted in applause, long, heartfelt, and emotional. Even the host stood, clapping through tears. Afterward, Can thanked her quietly. "You translated with your heart again," he said gently. She smiled through her tears. "It's impossible not to," she replied. "Your words are heavier than most." Later that night, as guests were leaving, a short video from the event started spreading online, the clip of Can's final speech, the translator's trembling voice, and the line that once again broke hearts around the world. Within hours, headlines everywhere read, "Yaman speaks from the heart once more," and the world falls silent again. But the story didn't end there. Early the next morning, Demet posted one final message. It wasn't cryptic this time. No quotes, no hidden meanings, just a simple, powerful sentence written in Turkish. Some words don't need translation. "I heard them." And just like that, the internet exploded once again. Fans cried, reporters tried to call both sides, and yet, neither of them said another word. They didn't need to. Because sometimes, two souls understand each other across distance, across silence, across time. Because sometimes, love doesn't fade, it just changes its language. And that night, as millions watched that last clip of Can's trembling translator and Demet's quiet reply, the world didn't just see a celebrity story. It saw something real, something human, the unspoken truth between two people who, no matter how far apart, still spoke the same emotional language. The night ended, the applause faded, and the lights dimmed. But somewhere, beneath all the noise, a quiet truth remained. He spoke. She heard. And everyone else just went silent.